Welcome to Choosing Well. Today's
Thank you.
conversation is with a special guest, Hope Obasi. I'm so excited for you guys to listen. So grab your notebooks and your pens, and we're going to dive right into it. Welcome, Hope. We're so glad that you honored our invitation. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so dive right into it. Hope, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, so my name is Hope Obasi. I'm a mother, a wife. I have three children, and the last one is about 10 months old. I'm currently in my second year of PhD, and I like to say that I've had a multidisciplinary career. So my career started off, I had a BSc, bachelor's degree in biochemistry, and when I finished, I ended up, I had all these dreams that I really wanted to come to the UK, do my master's and all that, but I ended up in the bank. And at some point, after about 8 years in the bank,
Mm.
I just decided that I wanted to go back to my first love, what I really wanted to do. And gradually, I managed to work my way back there. And yeah, here we are today.
Amazing. I love it, especially with the 10-month-old baby. Well done.
Thank you.
So when you look back at your journey so far, what feels consistent even when the path sort of look different from banking, going back into getting your PhD? What's, if you look at it, felt consistent regardless of the different paths that you took?
So what has felt consistent is the fact that I had a snippet of my purpose,
Mm,
because sometimes you don't have the full picture, you just have like a snippet in all the careers. Because okay, I started off in banking. One thing that's been constant was the fact that I wanted to give hope to people. My name is Hope, but it took me a while to realize that okay, this is what is going on. But in banking, I was really passionate about helping people
mm,
because people. I was in operations. I we always had queues. You have to kill the queue. There's always somebody that's going to be stranded. Something has happened with their ATM got lost. Um, there's always all those stories that happen in banking where you have to actually be there to help people.
mm,
Because in my banking career, I got up to a point where I was managing a whole branch. It was a very small branch, but I was managing a whole branch. And I actually had the opportunity to help people. And in that branch, I even had like soldiers coming in, people that were going through the thick of war and Boko Haram and all that. And they would come and their cash was trapped and they couldn't access their account, something BVN, one or two issues. But I was always able to offer them help, some form of hope. And then even when I decided to become a chef, it was also the same thing. I've always been passionate about how helping people that are going through one kind of sickness or the other. And one of the ways to do that is through food. Because if you eat well, you have a better chance of living healthy or living a longer life. And then right now, this is like I've come towards like the being able to give people hope on a more global platform where I'm actually doing scientific research. And I believe strongly that through the research I'm doing, something can pop up that can help somebody that probably did not have any hope of getting treated from an illness
yeah.
and all that. And then somehow there's something that happens in research and they're like, this person suddenly has hope. So my journey has been a journey of hope, and that is one thing that has been consistent.
That's amazing, actually. That's really beautiful because regardless of the different career positions and
Mm.
the core of it remained the same. I can imagine that that was very grounding for you, even with all the pivots. That's
Yes.
amazing. At what point did you realize that changing direction didn't necessarily mean losing direction?
This part, it took me a long time to figure this out because everything I was doing, at some point, I started feeling like you're just doing everything. You're doing too many things.
Mm,
What are you really doing? What are you really supposed to be doing? Sometimes, even when you feel like you know what God wants you to do, you can just get carried away by
mm,
maybe what everybody else is doing, what is your current situation, and you just start wondering, am I really doing the right thing?
mm,
So it took me a long time to realize that changing direction doesn't really mean losing direction. I would say that I figured this out recently. Like when I felt like everything is now finally starting I finally started seeing the big picture, and it started to make sense that
yeah.
I was changing direction a lot, but I wasn't losing direction. And Especially because I always had that strong feeling in my spirit. Even when I was doing my bachelor's, my classmates, my bachelor's degree would tell you, Hope always wanted to go back and do nanomedicine. Okay, backstory, right?
Mm.
I lost my dad in 100 level, and I think that was what he died from cancer. And that was when I decided that somehow I was going to join cancer research in any way I could. So
Mm.
then I wanted to do nanomedicine. I wanted to do a master's in nanomedicine because I felt like that was one branch of science that could find the cure. So I always had that felt like a very strong purpose. Even when I was going to do my PhD, when they asked me what is your personal statement, I always talk about the fact that
Mm.
I wanted to join the cancer research somehow just to contribute my own quota and all that. So I always had that. So even when I was making all these detours and doing all those things, I always knew that there was a bigger picture. This is what I really want to do in the end. And I didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't even know how I was going to get there, but I just kept taking baby steps. And yeah, I'm glad you made it.
That's really good. I mean, I'm a God girl, so I always find a way to bring God into everything. But I love how,
Yeah.
even that painful experience that you had, that loss was able to sort of rebirth or birth in you something that gave you purpose and is still
Yeah.
driving you till now. I think that's just phenomenal. And I think it can be an encouraging thing for anyone that's watching and listening. Even if you go through those hard times, you never know how it will redirect you or find
Mhm.
your purpose. So don't give up hope, just like Hope's name. Our story give you hope. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So I can imagine even you probably had moments where you felt that tension between stability and curiosity. Like you talked about having an 8-year career in banking where you sort of found your footing, you even got all the way to management. How was it for you at that point where you feel like, okay, I finally got my groove, but you just knew that something was missing? How did you find a way to sort of straddle that part? How did you resolve that tension between feeling wanting to feel stable but knowing that there was
Okay, so at the time, I I I started banking because that was what I had at the time. It's not like, oh, I was so passionate about it or anything. But I always, so while in banking, I always knew that this is not it. This is not the end. There's something more because it didn't really make sense. I have a bachelor's degree in biochemistry. Like I never felt like I fit in into banking. So
yeah,
I was like, well, okay, after becoming a manager, what else would I do? I
yeah.
never felt like I could fully fulfill my purpose in banking. So I always wanted to leave. And one day I just decided that maybe it was also like a combination of being in the north because at some point we had to move to Kogi State, Lokoja, and there was a lot of kidnapping. There was a lot of securities going on there. Maybe it was a combination of that. Maybe that was what like gave me the courage. And then one day I just decided this was it. I don't know where I'm going to. I don't know how I'm going, but I'm just going to leave. So I resigned. I moved back to Abuja. And then it was a big decision because even after moving, I didn't have a job for like a long time. But then I just focused on my children.
Yeah.
That's when I went to culinary school and became a chef. It has been a journey. It has been a journey. But yeah, yes, it has been a journey.
Yeah. In our previous episode, one of the things we sort of touched on is how, we've come to think that sometimes our life has to be linear, like our path and our journey has to be linear, but it isn't. Like I studied accounting and finance and I have a master's in forensic accounting. I'm a chartered accountant, but I'm not using any of that in a professional sense.
Mhm.
I'm working in a charity that supports domestic abuse victims, and I'm running this foundation that's really focused on, preventing violence, in intimate partner relationships. None of it, there's no links per se, but there's transferable skills, right? Some of the things
Mhm.
that I learned in school, some of the things that I practiced when I was an accountant are those skills that I'm using now, even as I'm designing things. So even if it doesn't feel like there's any links, there's always some,
Mhm.
because when you're now starting, like if you start off in point A and you decide that you want to jump to AB instead of going to CD, it's you don't start new, you don't start empty, you start with
Mhm.
skills, you start with knowledge, you start with experience, and that's always something that's will be valuable. So even in culinary school, the fact I just for me, I strongly believe that everything sort of works together.
Yeah.
Certain experiences push us and force us to go into a different phase, and it's never just a coincidence. Even taking that time to spend time with your kids as well, I'm sure it was really
Yeah.
impactful for them. So there's always going to be like pivots, especially now in the world that we live in. Technology is just accelerating things so quickly.
Yeah.
So many different careers that exist now.
Yeah.
No one ever dreamt they exist like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
the world stood still in 2020 and it has not been the same
Yeah.
since. So it's like you just never know. There's so many opportunities, and sometimes it doesn't make sense with your grand purpose. But if you can find something that helps you just still stay focused, then I think you'll be all right in the long run.
Yeah. I agree. 100%.
So,
100%. Yeah.
sorry, say that again.
No, I said I agree 100%.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. What did leaving banking teach you that medicine never could? I know that if you probably had your way from the get-go, you probably wouldn't have even gone into banking. But as you've then had a chance to go through that experience, what do you think that was unique about that experience that if you had stayed with medicine or from the get-go that you wouldn't have never
Mhm.
been able to pick up?
Okay, so one thing that banking taught me was working with people.
Mm,
Yeah, because I worked with all kinds of people, different kinds of customers, worked with colleagues. But in biomedicine, right? In life science, you're just on your own, mostly in the lab.
mm,
But in banking, I had the privilege of working with people, being able to like talk to customers, solve their problems. You have people coming back to give you feedback on the things you've done for them and all that. So that was actually really emotionally rewarding
mm,
experience, yeah. And then banking also, I can never that is one experience I never take for granted because everything I am today, I got most of it from banking. Because think about it, it was just me managing like a whole branch. We didn't have a lot of people in that branch. And this was in Obajana, somewhere that had like a lot of insecurity. So I feel
mm.
like I got some audacity from banking. And
That's
you know
good.
that there's nothing you can't really achieve much without audacity these days. Like
Absolutely.
people need to think that you're crazy for you to be able to go into rooms that you never even thought about being in. Like you never even like rooms that don't even suit you. Like if you think about it, you're like, there's no way I'm supposed to be here.
That's
But you get in there just because you have the
good.
audacity. Yeah. So that my banking experience, right? Something very, very simple that I never even thought about. I was just there killing queues, killing queues. I didn't know that I was building
Mm,
typing skills. I didn't know
wow.
one of the first jobs I got in the UK, they said, "Oh, you have to do a typing test." I was like, "Okay, let's do it." I didn't have to. It was a skill that I didn't have to think about. I was just typing, like, and I passed the test. I got the job, of course. But a lot of people who came for that interview and they were not able to get the job. This was
Mm,
one thing I got from my supervisor. Is there screaming, "Hope! There's still people on the queue," and I just kept going. And I
amazing.
just kept going. But another thing I learned through this journey was patience, even when you're not in what feels like where you're not supposed to be. But patience and the trust in God to just keep going
Mm,
and just trusting God that everything will work out in the end.
that's so
Yeah.
good. I love that audacity. It's so, oh my goodness. It's so important, especially as a
Mm.
woman. I think that, I won't go into my whole speech about how I think women are phenomenal, but we're undermined quite a bit and underestimated, and we underestimate ourselves a lot as well. Having audacity is essential. It is absolutely essential. Even if the president is telling you that you are a 5 out of 10, you need to believe that you are a 10
Mhm.
out of 10, no matter
Mhm.
what anybody says. Even your husband sometimes too. Like you've got to believe in yourself more than anybody
Yeah.
else. Honestly, audacity
Yeah.
is so important. I wish I could bottle it up and sell it because that imposter syndrome, it gets a lot of
Yeah.
us. But it doesn't even matter whether you're second guessing yourself and thinking, what am I doing? I don't belong here.
Do
Sit
it
down,
anyway.
do it. Are you kidding? Do it. You go.
Yeah.
And even if you don't, you learn on the job.
You learn on the job. I'm like, I'm always second guessing myself. Are you sure? Are you sure I'm supposed to be here? Are you sure I can do this? But even though like you're thinking about it like that, still do it anyway. Because women and most women and young girls now start believing that, oh, this person that has achieved so much has something that I don't have.
Exactly.
They're just crazy. Like their mind is telling them that you can't do
Yeah.
this. You're probably not going to be this so good at this, but they're still going. And so that's what you should do. When you start feeling like your mind is telling you not to do something, that's when you should keep going. You should keep doing it.
Yes. Yes. That's one of the key reasons why we do this choosing well, because I want to share as much as possible that anyone that's doing anything, it's because they dared to do it. It wasn't like it came easy. It wasn't that it was just one of those things where they had a superpower. No, they're just
Mm-hmm.
like you, and they just decided to date.
Yeah.
You took a chance on themselves, and you should too.
Yeah.
You should too. Absolutely. I
Mhm.
really love how, like, even something as simple as the typing fast. You just never know. And I feel like, you know what, people should stop saying no to opportunities. Be like a Nigerian tailor, right? There are some tailors where you take your fabric to them and they say yes, they can do this. And they take your money. They do nonsense, you know?
That is the height of audacity.
I'm not saying that, you should go into places where you're like you don't have any capacity, but some things that you build the capacity on the job,
Yes.
willingness to learn. Especially now, there's so many resources out there. There's so many videos on YouTube. There's so many coaches. There's so many things
Yeah.
to learn from. So don't put yourself out of the game. If others are saying you're not good enough, you shouldn't join them to say,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So,
that's really good. And I think that's like a really good segue into the next question, because I can imagine as you were like changing paths and trying out different things that perhaps some people thought, is she being inconsistent? What is she doing?
mhm.
Do you ever have that fear that others would see your transitions as, wishy-washy, inconsistent?
Yeah. So, what the thing about me is when I start something, I'll probably open a social media account. So just imagine when you've had so many different social media accounts, and the next day you start something else, and they'll just be like, "But I've had a lot of that." But I also realized that it took me trying a couple of things to now draw the dots and
Mm,
realize that all these things actually leading me to the same goal. Because I first of all I started the when I left banking, I went to culinary school, became a chef. I started a business where I was selling like healthy food packages to people. And then I also at some point I had a maternity clothing line
mm.
called Preggy to Wear. So I was selling clothes to pregnant women. But at some point I just realized that there is something consistent about everything I've done, right? Because even me, at some point, I started thinking that maybe it's just me doing. Maybe I'm just a restless person. Maybe I just like to do too many things, and maybe I don't have like one purpose. But
Mm,
at some point, I realized that all these things are actually leading me to a
mm,
particular place, and so that was when I started believing more in myself. I feel like people would probably look at me and say, "Oh, this." Some people think about it as hustle. They say, "This will be hustle." This will be hustle. I've actually started to change my mindset about the whole thing. At
mm,
some point, I was thinking about it more of
mm,
making money, about the income part of it. But at this point in my life, I'm thinking more about giving value, impacting people, impacting lives. And then, of course, while doing that, if you make money along the way, that works. But like the main purpose should be about impacting lives, sharing my journey, and then just hoping that people learn one or two from my journey, sharing my experience and everything.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I think for me it's probably the other way around. I started off like I need to like impact people and just make a difference in people's lives, and that's still the core of what I do and my motivation. But I've also realized it's very important to have a commercial aspect to it, because that's the only way to sustain the dream
Yeah,
and the vision.
true.
So I think it's just fantastic. Look, try as many things as you want to. If it doesn't fit, that's fine. You try
Yeah,
something.
that's fine. Yeah.
Um, if you're not quite sure of what it is that you want to, there's nothing wrong with trial and error. You
Mhm.
test. out. But there's also, I think there's also a bit of balance to making sure that you do have the right guidance and support. But I don't
Mhm.
think you should ever let fear of what others think of us,
Yeah,
stop what we want to try. And
I
as
agree.
as Hope shared now, as she kept on trying out, then she started to connect the dots and see actually this is the map, this is the pattern, this is how I want. If she didn't try those different things, probably she may not have been able to connect the
Mhm.
dots. So sometimes in the beginning or in the middle, it might feel quite weird and like all over the place. But it's just like even when you're drawing or something. Like I always draw those. I don't know if you did it when you were a kid, but those if you want to draw like a box, you have to draw two squares and then sort
Okay.
of connect.
Oh, I remember.
Yes. So when you're first drawing it, it looks like what are you doing? But by the time you sort of connect the lines, you see that you've drawn a box.
Yeah.
So sometimes in the middle of putting things together, it just doesn't make any sense, even sometimes to you.
Yeah.
But you just keep at it, right? Because you never know what you learn from it.
You never know, actually.
So, what are some of the skills that sort of followed you from, biochemistry to banking to culinary training and even to your research phase at the moment?
Yeah, so one skill that was consistent throughout, like I mean throughout, was working under pressure. You know how we always like we can work under pressure.
Yeah.
So banking, the culinary world and science research, they're all like fast-paced work
Yeah.
environment. Like you have to be on your feet. You need to be able to think fast. So that was one of the things that I've carried all through. And I've been able to build resilience through that. So it's very hard for you to like give me work that will break me,
Mm,
that kind of thing. And another thing I carried from banking as well is structure.
mm,
So I'm able to work in a structured environment. And you know how a lot of people moved abroad and they didn't know how to send emails, they didn't know how to, there's so many basic things that you're going to learn from a structured environment. So those are things I never had to struggle with. I was able to like just blend in instantly
yeah.
with like those basic admin things, those basic IT skills, just those things that you don't even think a lot of people don't know how to use some like Excel. People
Wow.
have to go. So, some of those things can make you stand out
Yeah.
in this kind of world. So, and all through my journey, one thing I always make sure I do is to learn new skills as much as I can. The world is changing now and everything is going AI. Have started learning my AI skills. I currently just finished my internship and I made sure that it was AI based internship.
Amazing.
So I try as much as possible to adapt with the changing times. And another thing I wanted to add is when you even think about people that are really successful in the world, most of them are not just stuck there doing one thing. They're trying different things. You think about somebody that's already wealthy, but they have multiple businesses. And sometimes you're even like, think about some Nigerian celebrities, for example. Somebody that is acting, like, okay, we thought you were an actress. Why are you now doing the next thing they're talking about real estate? The next thing they're talking about, you know, be wondering, like, people would know to stay one place. So when you think about it, even the successful people, they try a lot of things and just to see what works. This one might fail, this one might work. So it's just part of it.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so good. That's really good because I mean if you want to be successful, you got to look at people that already have success and look at like,
Mhm.
the patterns that they used. And if yeah, they're I think I read somewhere today actually that is it focus helps you create wealth, but diversification helps you multiply it.
Mhm.
There's just that need to be able to spread your wings and try different things, like, and depending obviously on the phase that you're in, don't, I think everything's a bit of balance, because I was going to say
Yeah.
don't diversify when you've not actually mastered one level. You want to make sure
Yeah.
that you're really good
Mhm.
before trying to add things on it as well. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I keep thinking to myself, especially recently, like a lot of the things that I'm doing are like just sort of giving back. But what can I do? What can I use with my skills and the things that I know I'm really good at? How can I use it to make?
Mhm.
Because really, there's so many things I want to do,
Yeah.
give back. But I also love having a nice life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice things, guys.
Yeah. It's good to
I
find a
want to
balance.
go, I want to go on a holiday with my kids. I want to go on a holiday with
Yeah.
my husband. You know, yeah, I want to give back. I want to make sure that the people that don't have the same access that I do can have a better life. I'm so passionate about, you know, just creating opportunities for people to grow because we can't start at this level and remain there. And we've just got to keep, building up. And money actually, makes a lot of that
Yes,
possible. Not
I
just
agree.
money on its own, but money opens doors, it gives access, it helps you with
Mhm.
training, leveling up, opportunities. If you want people to, like, I've got tons of people on our mentorship program now, but I know
Mm.
helping them with values-based training, they also need actual real life training, so practical training, internships, and
Mhm.
things like that. All of those things cost because they have, you want to help them cover that, and you want to just set them up. So I'm constantly now thinking, okay, how can I, how can I make money? So watch out for me. I will be posting some buy my market. But yeah, I think beyond the jokes aside, really, I found that if people don't pay for things, they don't value it as much.
Yeah, that's true.
Putting money down is sort of like a seed that you sow. But yeah, guys, so we're talking a lot about, pivoting and, sort of transitioning from one area to the other. How do you know when you're pivoting from clarity rather than trying to escape, discomfort?
Okay. For me, pivoting is I see it as part of the process,
Mm,
right? Sometimes it might if sometimes when the imposter syndrome hits you, it might just feel like you're escaping.
mm,
But what I've learned is to take small steps throughout your journey. And you know how the Bible says that when you get to the crossroads, you hear a voice that says to you, "This is the way, walk in it." And I feel like that is how our journey should be.
mm,
How you take slow baby steps. You always pause and just listen for the voice. Of course, you're not going to hear the voice. Nobody, you're not going to hear a voice that's just suddenly going to tell you go this way.
yeah.
When you actually pause and think about it,
Mm,
um, you would have that option in your spirit, you have that feeling in your spirit on the right way to go. And so if you keep taking those baby steps at every crossroad, this PhD that I started, did you know that I never planned to do a PhD. I wanted to be in research, but I did not plan to be I never thought about doing a PhD. I just wanted to get a job after my master's and work in research. But somehow my supervisor was like, "Oh, you can apply for a PhD if you want." And I started to think about it. I was like, okay, I'll just do it. Like, well, I'll probably not get it, but I'll just give it a shot and see. And the PhD position I applied for, they said there was 30%. They had a slot for just 30% international students.
mm,
And international students, not just Nigerians.
yeah.
Like,
Global.
and somehow I got in. Like sometimes I think about it and I'm like, I didn't even plan to do a PhD. And how did I get here? So sometimes you don't have it all planned out. You just keep taking steps and just following God's leading
Mm.
and taking those baby steps one after the other. And you definitely get to where God wants you to be.
I really love that. When you were talking about, sometimes when you're taking those baby steps, you pause and listen. And I thought to myself, for you to even get to a point where you're pausing, you had to actually have stood up and did something. I don't know why that's just really ringing in my mind. It's that because sometimes we're paralyzed by fear and we feel like, oh, I need complete clarity. I need to make sure that I've been given the full plan or I need to know where I'm going.
Mm.
You won't. And until you just sort of look at the situation that you find yourself in and the opportunities that are in front of you. And there's always going to be opportunities. Sometimes you just need to shift your perspective a bit to actually
Mm.
realize that that is an opportunity. Just make the best of wherever you
Yeah.
find yourself. It could be just as simple as maybe someone's offered you an internship I don't know, in a bank or in a pharmacy or even in a salon, and you're like, that's beneath me. I studied this and I studied
Yeah.
that. Why would I be doing this? But just even going in there and showing that you're a good steward of that opportunity can
Mhm.
open so many doors for you. You never know who you're going to meet. And even if you don't meet anyone, you never know who you become through the process. And so it's really important. Just take those little baby
Yeah.
steps. Just do it. And as Hope has said, as you're taking those steps to make sure that you're pausing and reflecting and making sure that okay you're walking in alignment with what your spirit is telling you, even if you're not like a believer or something, we all have that inner voice in our mind, sort of guiding us and leading us. Because I believe God speaks to everyone, even those that have not given their lives to Him. So take those baby steps. It's scary, I know, but just do it. Just do it. Remember we talked about audacity. Some of that audacity. Let me blow some. Let me blow.
Oh my
Um, catch some of that audacity.
God.
Just, one baby step. Just take that tiny little one. And the more you take it, the bigger your steps become, the more you realize that actually I have what it takes. Yeah. So, what role did patience play in finding your way back into academia? In fact, how many years was it between when you first finished your undergraduate and then, were able to do your master's and then into your PhD? And how patient you are.
It
I'm
was
not
about
you
12
plan
years.
it all, but I can imagine that.
It was about 12 years.
Wow.
It was between 2011 and 2023.
Mm,
It took a long time, and in between the process, I didn't know how it was going to happen.
mm,
I didn't know how it was going to happen. Like, I moved to the UK, and when I moved to the UK, it was my husband that did the masters. It wasn't even me that did the masters. And I just thought about it. So when he finished his masters, I was like, I've always wanted to be somewhere I could. I was supposed to come to the UK in 2011 to do my
mm,
masters, and that never happened. I'm here now. Maybe I
mm,
should just give it a shot. And then I was like, okay, I always wanted to go back to my science field. When I left banking after going to culinary school, I tried to get some internships. I tried to volunteer in some science organizations and all that. But nothing worked. I tried everything. I even started a master's in public health online. So I was
mm.
taking those steps that didn't seem like I was doing much because nothing was working.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I was like, let me just give it a shot. And then I started the master's, I got in, finished, and then the PhD opportunity came in, and then I took it. I'm not even close to where I want to be. At least I've made some progress. I feel like finally I'm here,
Yeah.
and the possibilities are endless. And it took me, I learned patience and humility during the process. Because think about it, my banking career, if I was still in banking, I would have probably been like, I would have really, I've gotten a lot of, at least a couple of promotions that would have taken me to some of my classmates in training school in banking. When I look at their LinkedIn, I'm like, what have I been doing?
I get that. I actually do.
People are, yeah, people have really like are achieving like so much. And I feel like if I was still in banking, maybe I know where I would have been by now.
Yeah.
But I had to start again. I had to start again. I had to start all over again, so many times to be able to be where I am today. This has been a journey of patience, a journey of humility,
Mm,
and even starting the PhD. I had like biochemistry 2011, and then fast forward 20, even up till now, and I feel like I'm learning every day because
yeah.
there's so many things I've forgotten, so many things that I don't know. I'm learning on the job, and I comfort myself with knowing that everybody's figuring it out. In
Yeah.
even the people that you think they know what they are doing, sometimes they don't really know everything. People are collaborating. So I know A, you know B, let's collaborate. That's what
Yeah.
a lot of people are doing. So there's no one person they're just so good that they know everything. So
Mm,
everybody's just going along their journey, figuring it out along the way. So don't just sit there and just think that, oh, this person is so smart, this person knows so much. I have a TikTok page where I'm always telling people like things that happen during my PhD. Maybe something happens and I felt so stupid. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know this. I found this difficult because I want people to know that not everybody is a genius. You don't have to be a genius to do it. You can
yeah.
just be a normal person. And
Yeah.
then with that opportunity, you continue to grow, you continue to learn. So I've had to put myself in a position where I let people, like, I learn from even the smallest of the people. And
Yeah.
I just tell them that, okay, show me how to do it. How do you do this? If you don't do that, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. So it has really been a journey of patience and a journey of humility for me.
Yeah. Ooh, I really feel that. I feel that so much. Because sometimes I'm like, if I had carried on with my path, because in finance, I would be like a completely different person on a completely different path,
Mm.
making loads of money, but Honestly, I'm so glad that I'm where I am. And I think, like I shared earlier before, honestly, no matter how many times you do have to sort of restart or, pivot, you're never
Mhm.
starting from scratch or you're never starting from ground zero. There's just always something that,
Yeah.
that you bring from your previous experience or from your previous life. And I love that humility aspect as well, because I think it's a really important quality to have, because it really opens up opportunities for you to learn. Like you say, you learn from everyone. It doesn't matter who it is.
Mm.
You just are able to understand that you don't know it all. I used to be a know it all back then. And know it alls actually get stuck a lot, because first of all, you're carrying your head up and you're giving yourself a headache. And you're constantly thinking, like, it just sort of puts you like in a what's that phrase called? Like a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
Don't have a growth mindset. So when the opportunities come for you to learn and to grow, you don't. You just get stuck.
Yeah.
And so when somebody then comes that's better than you, and you end up like getting like into positions
Mhm.
where you're like, oh wow, it's very your ego takes a hit, your identity takes a hit. So that humility is so important. It serves it to to be puffed up with, honestly. So I'm just amazed by the fact that you had plans in 2011 to come for your masters, and here you are, you finished the masters now and you're doing your PhD. Who knows, if you had come for your masters, then you probably won't have been able to do your PhD. So sometimes dreams are postponed, but they always sort of come back around, don't they? I
Yeah.
think that's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. So I'm sure that there's lots of young women, and I'm sure some men even listening to this, and they've probably thought to themselves, "Oh, I've taken the wrong path. Oh, I wish I had done this and I had done that." What would you say to someone that's thinking that way, like, "Oh man, I took the wrong path"? What would you say to them?
Okay, so in my opinion, I don't think there's really anything that's a wrong path. So every experience adds something to you. With experience, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience. So even if you feel like you're in a wrong path, I want you to focus on what can you get from this place?
Mm,
What can you learn? So one thing that I've always done, everywhere I find myself, I try to give it my 100%. Even though I feel like, oh, this is not where I'm supposed to be, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. But I'll always be that staff that they will say, okay, oh, Hope, go to Hope for this. So, there are those people that are good at everything. There's some people that they can sew, they can cook, they can do everything. So I try to put myself in that position where I'll always give my best anywhere I find myself. And because of that, I make sure that I take what I'm supposed to take from that experience. I take the skills that I'm supposed to get from that experience. And you never know how those skills can help you.
mm,
All of the skills, and it's so funny, like when I first moved to the UK, like there were limited jobs for immigrants. Everybody had to do a certain type of job. I had, did you know that my chef experience, right, got me my first two jobs. Like it was, I was in the UK for 2 weeks. 2 weeks was I had to do the quarantine. And after the 2 weeks, I had like four job offers. Like I didn't even know that I was supposed to be rejected. I didn't know because I was new in the country. I didn't even know how I was supposed to reject. I was thinking that I'll make somebody feel bad. Like, so I was not considering taking like the two jobs. I feel like sometimes that place that you feel like you're not supposed to be might just be your way out.
mm,
It might just be your way out of some kind of wilderness that you never even knew existed.
mm,
Wherever you think you are right now, even if you're thinking that you're choosing wrong, or if you're thinking about this is not what I want to do, why should I start it? Just take it. Focus on what you're going to get from it, the experience that you're going to get from it, and then don't stop there. You keep moving forward. Don't just be stuck in somewhere that is something that you don't really want to do. You need to get what you need to get from there and then keep moving forward, even though slowly, but just make sure that you're moving forward.
mm. I love that last bit that you said, particularly. You said so many great things, but that, like, get what you can from the situation. Because sometimes we are in a temporary place and there's opportunities to learn, but we then make that place our like home and we just park there. And
Mhm.
you've got to keep your eye on the ball. Like, don't get carried away thinking, okay, now that I'm in,
Mhm.
this is where I'm going to stay forever. No. Continue to have that growth mindset and set yourself up. I love the intentionality that you have sort of had throughout your journey. Like, you never sort of gave up from the previous question when we are talking about patience and humility, like you tried different things, you even tried the masters in public health online, you kept trying
Yeah.
different, and that's, I think that's so key, to have that spirit of resilience and just, just keep at it, because your life actually deserves you not giving up on it. That's just the honest truth. It's your life. No one else
Mhm.
is to live it for you. You get to decide that, you know what, I'm going to live a life that actually counts. And no matter how many no's I get, because it's my life, it's worth it. I'm
Mhm.
keep trying. I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to keep at it. So even if you
Mhm.
have taken the wrong path as you're thinking in your head, if you can shift that perspective to thinking this might not be where I want to be, but there's something to learn that will help me when I get to the place I want to go. Because one thing that many people don't realize is when they're like in a position or in a place where they don't like, and they start acting differently. So like maybe you been put in a role that you're not a fan of. Maybe you've been given an accounting role and you really wanted tax or audit or something, and you start acting in a mediocre way. That mediocrity is going to follow you because you pick up those bad habits, and then when
Yeah.
you actually maybe get the opportunity for the role that you want, you've gotten stuck in that thinking, and it will impact how you show up
Mhm.
next
Mhm.
one. So you've got to continue to remain true to yourself, and you've got to continue to be that person of excellence, like Hope has said. Be the go-to person. Even if you're not where you are, we want to be, like, be the person that people are like, yes, yes, go to that girl, go to that boy, go to that man, go to that woman. They will have the answer for you. And even if they don't have the answer, they'll do their best to make sure that they help you. You want to be that person. Think about who you want to show up as and start to be that person from today. Don't wait till you have, the ideal setup or the ideal family or the perfect friend or the perfect relationship. Like, don't let the things that surround you shape you. You get to shape your surroundings, not the other way around. It's really, really important that you remember that, because there's going to be many opportunities and there's going to be many places where you feel like this is not how you want to be, this is not where you want to be, but you need to continue to be yourself, and you need to continue to do it in an excellent way, I think. So, how can someone sort of honor their curiosity without becoming scattered? I love how intentional you were with all the different things that you were doing, and I'm sure maybe sometimes in the middle, you didn't quite feel like you were being intentional. But looking back, obviously, you can see that, you're able to connect the dots. What would you advise someone that, wants to sort of try different things or has the desire to, explore different areas? How did they make sure that they do it in a structured way, like you touched on previously?
Okay. So I think it's really important for us to explore, but you have to explore in a structured way. First of all, you need to understand what you stand for, what your purpose is, what you're trying to achieve. And then so that even when you're exploring within that boundary, like you're not going outside what you're supposed to be doing. And there's so many ways that you'd see somebody that is in a particular field and they are able to, okay, let's assume that somebody is okay, for example, I'm a PhD student, I'm a scientist, and but I like to speak sometimes. I've actually not always been someone that wanted to speak. I'm a very shy person. So I remember when I had my training school, my Diamond Bank training school, they said somebody should come and imitate one very popular, I can't remember who it was, one very popular person, right? A person gave a speech and they wanted us to imitate that speech. And I raised up my hand and I came to the front and everybody started laughing. I realized that I realized that maybe shyness is trying to prevent me from actually speaking, because actually I enjoy speaking. Like if I'm in a closed environment with people that I like, with people that I'm close to, I can speak freely. But when I have to speak on a platform, when I have to speak in front of people, I always try to run away from it. So now I would like to explore speaking, right? Because this is still within the lines of what I'm supposed to be doing. So I can
Mm,
be a scientist, I can be a speaker, I can be. So when you're exploring, like if I think about my my own story, in some cases you might end up in places where you didn't want to end up, right? Sometimes that might not be exploring, that might just be what where God wants you to be at that time. It might just be what the situation allows you to do at that time, right? But if you're going to explore intentionally, you've made up your mind on your own that you would like to explore. Of course, you won't go and start doing like random things that are not within your purpose or not within where you are at the time.
Yeah.
So you explore, you do something new, you pause and see
Mm.
what the impact was. Should I continue with this? Does this make sense? Should I stop? I've actually tried so many new things in the past. I'm always trying something new. Like my husband is tired of me. I just come with one crazy idea. I'm just like he's like, leave me out of it.
Because
So sometimes I managed to try that thing, and then I learned something new. I'm like, oh, maybe I was supposed to do it like this, but I didn't do it like this. Or
yeah.
maybe if I try this other one that's related to it, it might be better for me to that might suit me better. I mean,
Mm.
but if you never try anything, you're not going to know,
You know,
because everything has like the depth of it. Everything has like the things that you can't just see with your eyes. Somebody might be telling you, "Oh, I'm into this. I've done this for 10 years. Oh, this really makes a lot of sense," but you won't know what they are saying. You won't even. You have to see for yourself. You have to go into that thing to realize that, oh, this might not be best for me. It might be better for me to do it in a slightly different way from this person. It might be better for me to not do this but do that. So I'll definitely say explore, but make sure that your whatever you're exploring is within your purpose and you're doing it you intentionally, pausing when you have to, and just seeing what you need to do next.
yeah. Do you know, I can relate with what you were sharing about being shy because, oh my goodness, when I was a kid, like if my mom even said go to the neighbors to get something, the amount of mental torture that would be for me. But there's so many people that meet me now, they don't even, if I tell them I'm an introvert,
Yeah,
I'm sure they won't
you
believe.
know, if you same here. I'm like,
They just wouldn't believe because I'm very outward facing now. I know very clearly what I'm called to do. And so anything that is in me that doesn't align with that, I just sort of cut it.
mhm, mhm,
Even the introvert, yes, I do have moments where I would rather just, be by myself, but I don't let it impact negatively on what I've been called to do and what I know strongly is my assignment. So I completely get it. Even the public speaking, I told my husband the other day that I'm working on my TED talk. I'm like, I'm working on my TED talk. He's like, oh, did somebody invite you to speak? No, I'm just getting ready
but
for my
yeah,
TED talk. So I've been doing some research and putting my notes together. I need to start practicing.
because one day you might be in that place and they're like,
Yeah,
okay, we're inviting Nana to come
yeah.
and speak to the
I
king, and
know
you're like,
I kept slacking. So I'm like, but is that my comfort zone? No. Is that like where I feel relaxed when I'm speaking in front of a group of people? No, I kind of prefer one to one. But I also know that there's a message that needs to be put out there. And if you want to be able to reach lots of people, you need to be able to dream big. So there's just that. I love what you were saying about, intentionality. Yes, you want to explore because you know that this might help you in the long run with a plan or a goal or an assignment or whatever it is you want out of life. Yes, it might feel awkward, but you're trying it out. So like me now, these interviews that we were doing last year when I came up with the idea, I said, okay, fine, we'll do one a quarter. But before I know it, I'm like, okay, okay.
wow, wow, so
I
impressive.
thought it was just gonna be last year, and here we are. We're still at it, and I feel like we're sort of getting better over time. But it's just one of those things where some skills you just have to do it to learn it, to figure it out. There's no like you can't go if you
Mhm.
might go and watch a video on YouTube and they'll tell you about how to do public speaking, but there's no way to actually
Yeah,
speak publicly without actually speaking
yeah,
publicly. So yeah, that intentionality, like absolutely explore and try different things, but like let it be, towards a grander goal, not just, oh, I just feel like it. Which I suppose there might be a time and place for just trying things out for the sake of trying it out. But
yeah.
especially for someone that you sort of already know what you want out of life and what you feel like, is your grander purpose. Is you want to make sure that you're trying things out, exploring things that will add value to that person you want to become. So now the title of this series is Choosing Well. What does choosing well look like when the future is not yet visible? You don't know what it looks like, but you still want to make sure that you're choosing well in that season. What does that look like?
Okay, so Choosing well for me means that I'm choosing in every season, I'm choosing what aligns with me,
Mm,
what aligns with my purpose at every single time. That I'm listening to God's voice. That I say, this is the way, walk in it. And that every single time I'm taking the stairs, I'm taking the stairs like one step at a time and not the entire staircase.
that's good.
And just doing it and thinking about, okay, for example, in this season, I have a baby and everything I'm choosing at this point depends on a lot on motherhood, on my title as a mom. I'm taking so what I've done is one thing about babies is that they teach you how to slow down. So this
Mm,
is the time that I've decided to slow down, take baby steps. I know that people that are not that PhD students that are not moms, because there's a whole lot of resources available to you. There's a whole lot of people are going for conferences. There's so much that you can do. But I understand that right now I'm just gonna choose the things that align with me as a mom. And it might not be achieving what everybody else is achieving, but what matters to me is that I'm achieving something, even
mm,
if it's one step at a time. That's just it for me.
good. That's so good. Honoring your own unique seasons and your own
Yeah.
situation. Looking at what others are doing and just, sort of focusing. How have you found this PhD journey, actually? Are you in your first year, second year?
Okay, I'm in my second year right now. First year, like I started my PhD in September. In October, I was pregnant,
I cannot imagine.
and
You
I
are
started.
really resilient, aren't you?
It was just God that helps me because half of it I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Like I thought about quitting a lot of times. I was like, this is maybe I should just quit. This is not what it's like. How am I supposed to?
You
I
decided to
was
start
not
on hard level.
yeah. I was like, how? But somehow you see that when God just sends people, you see
Mm,
when if God wants you to do something, He just somehow makes. Do you know that all the things I was worried about, somehow God was sorting them out one after the other, one after the other, and even sending people that you work with, people in your space that can speak up for you in rooms that you're
mm,
not there, that can just stand up for you and say, okay, we can do this for Hope. Maybe this will make her life easier. Maybe this. And sometimes when I just sit down and think about it. What if I dropped out? What if I actually dropped out? What would I have been doing by now? I would have just this opportunity I waited for so long. I would have just let it go, just like that. But sometimes you see what fear does to us. Fear that was trying to convince me to give up on the situation. You might be in that situation where you're just like, I'm a mom. Where do I start from? How do I do it? But I just want you to know that God has put people in place to
mm,
help you
mm.
at every step of at every junction, everywhere you get to, there's somebody that's going to that God has positioned there to help you. So don't think too much about that. Focus on what God has called you to do and just keep moving.
Thank you. I feel like that message was for me. I really do. I really do. Thank you. Thank you.
So,
So, final question.
okay.
If you were to if you were to be able to speak to your, I don't know, 18-year-old self, 21-year-old self, even perhaps your 23-year-old self, what would you tell her, knowing all that you know now?
Good question. Okay, I would say everything will work out. Everything will work out fine. Don't have anxiety for nothing. Like some of us just build anxiety over as a young girl, you're thinking about it. Oh my God, am I going to, what if I don't find husband? What if I have issues with childbirth? What if I don't get the job that I want? What if I never become anything in life? What if I never achieve this? What if I never achieve that? So one thing I would say is, I'll tell my younger self is do not be anxious for nothing. Like, you know how you read that, you read it every time, but you're still anxious.
Yeah. You're creating one scenario in your head.
Yes, there's always something to panic about. But I'll just say, don't be anxious for nothing. Just continue to take those baby steps, take those audacious steps. Just keep moving, be consistent, be resilient. Just keep going no matter what, even when it feels like sometimes when you have to be on the social media space, you start to feel like I have to give myself pep talk. Every time you see me post video, I have to drag myself out to post that video because I'm always like, okay, what would everybody think? What would people think? What would people that know me just going to be like, this hope is crazy, this hope again.
That's why I love commenting because it really,
Yeah, actually. So
yeah.
God, like when I'm just gonna tell my younger self, just keep going, even when it feels like nobody's cheering for you, nobody's clapping for you. Continue to clap for yourself, continue to encourage yourself, keep taking those steps. Even when people think, this one is over Sabi, why is she always doing this? Why is she always like if you're the one that is good at your job, people are always going to think you're over Sabi. Be
Mm,
good at your job, be good at what you do. Because what God wants from us is that spirit of excellence. Everywhere we are, God has already given us the spirit of excellence, but we have to show it. Like anywhere you are, you have to show, like your work has to show that you're a child of God.
yeah,
You can't just be a child of God from out. So
yeah, so
keep
good.
going, and everything is going to work out fine. God already has everything planned out, and you just need to keep taking it one step at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. Thank you again so much, Hope. As we close, I'm reminded that choosing well is not about having a straight line, it's about having a steady center. Our paths may change, seasons may shift, but clarity, discipline, and self awareness, and some courage as well, will go with you. If you're watching this and you're in a season that doesn't yet make sense, perhaps nothing is wasted. Perhaps you're being formed into a version that will be able to carry what is coming for you. And perhaps choosing well right now simply means being faithful, staying faithful to who you're becoming. I hope this episode has been really enlightening for you. In fact, I'm certain that it is. So I will see you next month and thank you for tuning in. Bye. Okay.